I'm Robert Cardoza, and you're watching On the Street, the intersection of business and politics. This is where we take everything that's going on around the country, put it into a great big funnel, get rid of all of the bias in there, and give you the honest-to-God truth about what's going on. Before we move on, though, I want to remind everybody that you can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google+. I encourage you to email me at robertcardozalive robertcardozalive@gmail.com. You'd think I'd know that by now, right? My guest is Oscar Gonzalez. Now, Oscar is with Oscar's Tech, oscarstech.com, he likes me to say. He is the founder of that. And I've never met a man more knowledgeable about anything technological. And right now, we're going to talk about cyber attacks. We've been hearing this from the administration. We've been hearing it from the military. They're worried about cyber attacks. You know, I was very worried about it, and when I called Oscar to ask him about it, I was astounded at his position here. Just like I was telling you that the government actually plans some of these catastrophes we're going to have, I have a feeling that Oscar is feeling the same way about cyber attacks. So I want to welcome aboard Oscar Gonzalez. Oscar, thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Robert. I'm glad to be back, and I appreciate to be a guest again.
Well, this is going to be great. It's going to be interesting, and I think people are going to be surprised at your take on where we're at. Because I really thought when they were talking about cyber attacks, as I heard them saying, well, they're going to shut down the power grid, and they're going to shut down the water, and they're going to shut down access roads and communications and supplies and all those things. And then when you and I talked, you set the light bulb off in my head. So I would like for you to give just a brief overview of what you think the cyber attacks are going to be, and then we'll have a dialogue about it.
So I believe that what the government is doing, and a lot of the companies about this information, is really what we call FUD, F-U-D, which means fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And it's just a method of instilling fear in people so that you can then maybe take away some privacy rights so that we can be more controlled by the government or corporations. Now,
privacy rights from individuals.
Correct. Now, this may sound a little bit like a paranoid or conspiracy theorist point of view, but it isn't. This happened after 9/11. We had some rights taken away. For example, the government can do searches on your property, on your stuff, if they consider you a threat without any search warrants. And that was after 9/11. So things like that may be in place for the government to tell us that we're going to be attacked by China or Russia or North Korea. And the reality is we can be attacked by them. But cyber attacks are not going to take place the way that we are being told in the news.
And it's not necessarily in the future. It could be happening right now.
Correct.
It's not like they're going to tell us.
That's right. If you consider warfare from the past 400 years, you knew when your enemy was coming at your door and attacking you. Cyber attacks don't take place that way. They are silent, and a successful cyber attack will not be announced. It will simply happen, and by the time the victim realizes something happened, it could be months later or years later, and the damage has already been done.
And that victim isn't necessarily you or me. It could be very large businesses that control the economies of nations.
Correct. It could be an entire entity, for example, one of our administration branches, or a big corporation that controls a large part of the economy, maybe even the stock exchange. But the things that would happen to those if we get attacked and they are successful will be subtle changes that benefit the attacking party, or take our system down, and we wouldn't even know what happened.
For years.
It could be for years, it could be for months, but it would be very disruptive.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be like where we know they're coming in and we have to prepare, and now there's going to be this back and forth attacking and defense procedure that happens. It just simply happens. And currently, right now, people are attacking all of our systems, and we're defending them just as much as they're being attacked. We just don't know about them.
In reality, I think part of what you're saying is if I am some third world country and I want to have a meaningful effect on the economy of, let's just say, the United States, I could invest in the stock market on Wall Street and control the price of the stock when I bought in and control it when I sell.
Sure. And that's a very...
and get money that way.
Of course. That's a remote possibility, but it's likely to be a scenario where maybe you invest $1 million in certain stock, and you have a team of hackers somewhere that manipulates how that happens, and that million turns into 10, 20, and that funds your operation. So that's certainly a cyber attack that could take place. And by the time an audit takes place to find those issues, it could be years later that maybe somebody notices that the stock price on certain stock actually rose when it shouldn't have. Yeah. So those are the kind of attacks that we may see. They're going to be silent, quick, and a very successful attack will not be noticed for a long time after it happens.
And when they talk about the power grid or water or communications or transportation or any of those things, it could happen to all, it could happen to all those. I mean, if all of a sudden the FAA computers went down, planes would get grounded.
Sure.
And I'm guessing that if somebody wanted to go in and manipulate the stock market just because of money, I'm using it as an example.
Sure.
That they might want to set up a smoke screen sitting out there that takes your attention off of the stock market.
Sure.
So that if I shut down transportation or I shut down the power grid, while you're working on that and you're worried and you're thinking what's going on and you're all intrigued by it, I'm working on the stock.
Sure, definitely. That could happen, and that's a traditional warfare tactic. You distract them with a smaller item while you're really attacking a big part of their infrastructure. But something that we need to be concerned with, more so than the technical aspects of a cyber attack, is the social engineering part of it, which means it's not really the machines that are going to be the problem. It's going to be the people that control those machines. If somebody that people may want to read is Kevin Mitnick. He's the most renowned hacker of all time, and now he's turned his skills from bad to good, and he consults now as a security expert. But he perpetrated a lot of cyber attacks in the early 80s and early 90s where they were not really technical attacks. He simply convinced people to give him information that would allow him to go into systems. And it was simply by making a few phone calls, pretending to be somebody else, and gathering enough information to then launch a successful attack. He didn't really have to break any passwords or hack into a computer the normal, traditional way that we understand you can hack into a computer. So it's the human factor that's going to make or break a cyber attack.
You know what, we've got 1 minute left, and I'd like to take a little bit of time for you to talk about Oscar's Tech, just a little bit here, because I think it's important. You do a lot of social media work, a lot of web building, you do a lot of interactions with companies. Talk about Oscar's Tech for the next 30 seconds.
Sure. Well, we do a full gamut of IT services. And in fact, as we're talking about security, we do security intrusion detection. So we come into your company and analyze how your company is connected to the internet and how can you be protected from cyber attacks. Because cyber attacks don't just happen from country to country, they happen from company to company or individuals to a company.
Okay, when we come back, we're going to talk more about cyber attacks with Oscar Gonzalez. I want to remind everybody that this is one of the most important discussions you're going to have. It'll take some of the fear away from you, but it'll also give you the truth about what's going on. You're watching On the Street, the intersection of business and politics. I'm Robert Cardoza.